Good morning to all of you, and thanks, Chairman Byer, for convening our hearing today. You know, at the heart of the American dream, we find the ability to build a productive and happy life for oneself and for one's family. It's always necessary to that endeavor to have the opportunity to build wealth. And unfortunately, while average wealth for all American households has fortunately risen in recent years, it remains a fact that Black and Hispanic households have consistently held less wealth than white households. Wealth is built, of course, through the accumulation of assets, and this can include the accumulation of homes, of savings, and in many cases, of inheritance. But accumulating assets requires income, and income requires opportunity. One of the critical questions that we therefore have to ask in order to address the racial wealth gap is one that deals with how best can we increase opportunity for those with less wealth so that they can build more. And what are the things that tend to get in the way of opportunity and especially of upward mobility? As Martin Luther King wisely observed, a productive and happy life is not something you find, it's something that you make, but it is, of course, something you make with other people. Indeed, supportive relationships and institutions are vital to facilitating opportunity. The Social Capital Project of the Joint Economic Committee has, for the past few years, studied the health of families and communities and institutions of civil society. And what we've done through that effort is to try to document changes in social capital over time and its sometimes uneven distribution geographically across the country. Often there are historical injustices that can have far-reaching consequences for future generations. One of the project's striking early findings was that there is a connection between those counties with large enslaved populations in 1860 and the counties with the lowest rates of marriage and intact families today. You see, slavery stole agency from Black Americans, and it did so for generations, tearing apart one of the most vital supports that exists for human flourishing, that is the institution of the family. This horrific legacy that it left, as well as just the horrific legacy of racism as a whole, undoubtedly led to far-reaching consequences for Black opportunity. But other policies have also weakened social capital and opportunity. Many Black Americans have paid the price for government-sanctioned redlining, for lack of lending resources for homes and businesses, and union job discrimination that their parents and grandparents may have faced. These policies made it much harder to build intergenerational wealth. Today, there are still other policies that present barriers to opportunity, enduring policies that lock so many out of affordable housing, of good quality education, and good job opportunities. For example, unequal access to quality education plays a large role in upward mobility and economic success. Unfortunately, because of public school zoning and residential zoning policies, many minority children from low-income families are required to attend lower-performing public schools. And as a result, they're less likely to do as well on standardized tests, graduate from high school, than they would otherwise be, and also less likely to have other opportunities to move on to college. They're more likely to end up unemployed at one point or another, and more likely to end up in lower skilled jobs with lower earnings, especially if they haven't gone to college. Occupational licensing laws are often a needless barrier to work, especially for disadvantaged Americans. Many states have onerous requirements for jobs that can be done with little risk to the workers themselves and to those they serve, including jobs performed by florists, hair braiders, and barbers. And those requirements also make it hard to earn a living. Similarly, zoning and land use regulations present the formation of home-based businesses that would allow for more Black entrepreneurship. And zoning segregates Americans by race and by class. Our current safety net programs include some disincentives for work and for marriage, keeping many minorities trapped in a cycle of dependence and poverty, and preventing wealth accumulation and stable family formation, which very often go together. Family stability also plays a key role in affecting long-term opportunity. White children are nearly 3 times more likely than Black children to be born into married households, and children born into married households are in turn less likely to be in poverty and more likely to achieve upward mobility. In fact, one study found that the greatest predictor of young Black children's ability to move up to a new income class often involves the presence of Black fathers in their neighborhoods. In these and other areas, we have much room for improvement to address existing barriers and to enhance opportunity. But it's important to add that as far as we have to go, as far as we have remaining left to go in making progress, we have made some progress too. Personal agency is not lost, and many Black Americans have advanced and are flourished in spite of the barriers and discriminatory legacies they've faced. As my friend and colleague, Senator Tim Scott, recently said, quote, just before COVID, we had the most inclusive economy in my lifetime, the lowest unemployment ever recorded for African Americans, Hispanics, and Asian Americans, the lowest for women in nearly 70 years. Wages were growing faster for the bottom 25% than the top 25%. That happened because we focused on expanding opportunity for all Americans, close quote. Together, I believe we can continue working to expand opportunity, to help all Americans build a happy and productive life for themselves and for their families, and thereby make savings and wealth accumulation a reality for all. Abraham Lincoln, in his message to Congress on July 4th, 1861, wrote that the leading object of government was, quote, to elevate the condition of men, to lift artificial weights from all shoulders, to clear the paths of laudable pursuit for all, to afford all an unfettered start and a fair chance in the race of life, close quote. It's my hope that this hearing will help us do the same. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.